Hello, everybody. I want to discuss a couple of points with you as we move forward. The first will be how to post a discussion, post an initial post, what to do, how to do it, and the second will be a little bit about your papers. I wanted to share with you an excellent example from a classmate. She's in one of the two sections here. Kira Peebles. Kira, I hope I think that sometimes it's good to have an example how to do it. So rather than tell you what some of the issues are, let's look at how Kira has done this correctly. And maybe that'll help you. Okay, the first thing she did, let's view the topic. In chapter 4, before you post in the discussion, and some folks haven't done this yet, they've posted and there's no real indication that you've read the text and the material, so please do that. You'll learn about agents of socialization. They're structured. It's families, schools, media, peer groups. It could be religious groups, which, in other words, are agents that teach us how to behave and internalize values, beliefs, and norms. A norm is a social rule. You'll use what you learn. That means you've read it already before you post, to help you prepare for this discussion post about agents. They talk about gender, toys, They don't just talk about gender divisions. They talk about how children are socialized into men and women or boy and girl roles based on play. So this isn't just a thing about gender. A lot of people started just diving in and writing that. It is really specifically about how children are socialized. Now, it could be gender, it could be a number of other ways, Note that this is a sociology class. Your personal experience is important. And I'm not going to say it's not, but please don't write me, your biography. That's not really what we're dealing with in this class. What we're dealing with is how groups of people are socialized. So let me show you a really great example of how this works. Kira writes, socialization takes place throughout the life of individuals as they interact with societies and, essential for shaping an individual, and can take place through several means: family, religion, school, and peer groups. Cited the textbook. Clearly, Kira has read the text. She's right off the bat, she's grounding this in reading of the text. And she talked about the family, and then she talks about schools. She's going way beyond the parameters of the assignment, right? If you pick religion, it's great that you have a religion, and that I don't need to know the history of your religion. I need to know how religion in general socializes people. What does religion as a concept give to people in terms of their norms, their values, and their beliefs? I've taught a sociology of religion class. We're not concerned about what should be, about how we feel about things, about, our personal experience. We're concerned here with how this impacts. Notice she said students. And she said children and families. These are big enough categories here that we can really get a sense of how children, not just your history, your biography, or your family, but children are socialized. So please, and look, she had these very elegantly constructed references down here. Outstanding work. So you don't have to go over and above this far, but I expect to see some evidence that you've read the material. Okay? Okay, let's go back now to a discussion of learning modules. We'll go back to our discussion of our paper. I've graded your final projects reviews. Most of you are off on the right foot. These are thought prompts. Now, they've done something odd and put this stuff in a different place. Okay, so it's a little difficult to find, but I'm going to show you. Okay, where to go. If I told you to narrow your focus, that you've written well, that's exactly what I mean. So where do we go here? For some reason, they put this down at the end of assignment 1. Okay, the supporting resource for the final project is in assignment 1 and not down here in the final project review. So what I want you to do is go back, if I told you to, go back here, supporting resource list PDF. Okay? Now let me give you a few points on writing. Okay? So if you can't really write me a very effective paper about bullying. Okay? So, basically, subtopics. Write me a paper on school bullying or cyberbullying or bullying in the workplace. If we're talking about violence and crime, I think one student did an excellent job. She wrote about murder, about homicide. She narrowed her focus. She wrote down and looked at this. And here you could even, this is one place where it's allowed, you can cut and paste a reference here. So drugs, again, you can't write a paper about drug and alcohol abuse. That's an entire undergraduate major. If you've written well, and I told you to narrow your focus, go down here and look at one of these subtopics. Prescription drug abuse, legalization of marijuana, addiction. If alcohol abuse, or it's called alcohol use syndrome in the new DSM-6 manual, that would the old term alcoholism. You can write me a paper about the effectiveness, the clinical effectiveness, and there's plenty of research of 12-step programs and treatment. Okay, and wage gap, subsidies, welfare. Somebody wrote an excellent paper on the Gini coefficient. In terms of income and poverty in the U.S. And, of course, you have to use citations. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some stylistic, okay? Let's go down here. Okay, so the milestones that you have, right, 1, 2, and 3, lead up. Okay, each of these, I look at the rubrics, each of these are building up to the final assignment. Here are some elements of what you need to have in a paper. You are constructing a research paper. What's a research paper? Imagine this. Imagine that you are given $100,000 to fix bullying in a high school, but you have to demonstrate to the people who are going to give you the money why this is a problem. We have specific categories: roles, inequality, cultural, the cultural background, the existing social conditions. All of these things are elements which one would assess, right? If one were going to address bullying in the school, physical bullying, right? Okay. So you have to write something like an executive summary or also a research report. Well, what kind of language do we need? I'm going to advise you against certain kinds of language. Please avoid language that tells me how you feel about it. If I'm trying to write a paper, if I'm trying to prove my point, telling me that you feel passionately about something, or might be great for a reaction paper in a a composition class, but it has no place here, okay? Your feelings are important. They lead you to the topic that you're studying, certainly. But you then have to step back from whatever you're feeling about the topic and then describe with empirical detail the elements of the problem. If I'm looking at systematic racism, of course, for example, you can break that down across a wide array. We're talking the mortgage industry, how people were discriminated against in housing people of color, in housing mortgages, how the discrimination, how it's built into the healthcare system. Of course, the justice system is a contemporary issue, and so forth. The education system, all of these things are ways in which systematic racism, would be built into the elements of society. So pick one of those and focus on that, and provide an analysis. There's plenty of information out there. Do not start too broad, and I've told some people to narrow it back, okay? So, of course you don't feel good about that, right? And you may have had personal experiences. That's the point here, is to write an empirical research paper or an executive summary, okay? What else does that mean? Please beware of using cliches. Since across every context and all of history, no, that's not correct. Since time immemorial, that's a cliche. Look up cliches. Avoid using cliches when you write. That's step one. Step two, please disabuse yourself of the use of a kind of language that you learned a term from, maybe in language arts class, the adverb. If you tell me something like there are very many people, or there are lots of, that's information free words that they mean nothing, right? You can say this is a problem because 12 million people have been bullied, and then give me a citation. That tells you something, right? So, and then please use APA format, and that includes for websites. Look up in the APA format what it means to cite something from the web, and what the format is. Otherwise, I think we're off to a good start. Please keep these in mind, and I'll look forward to answering any questions or talking with you. I'll be grading your discussions from week 2 between on probably early Thursday. But please review the comments that I've made in for your milestone 1. Okay, thanks.